So, there has been a major development to the situation. I am feeling a load of complicated emotions right now, and writing this has been very tricky. Since the police couldn't help, I took advice from many of you and contacted our shared mobile provider. After some back and forth, they sent over out call and SMS records from the past 6 months. These records only cover standard messages and calls. I spent hours combing through these records trying to find anything unusual, and eventually found what I was looking for. A lot of messages and calls with a specific unknown number. After digging into it, I realized that this number wasn't the kid's. It belonged to his dad. Suddenly things clicked, and at the same time I was thrown into a whirlwind of emotions: grief, anger, disbelief. In a weird way I was also somewhat relieved. I don't know for sure, but what I think has been going on this entire time is my wife has been having an affair with this kid's dad, hence her recent obsession. Knowing full well that she couldn't openly talk about her relationship with this dad, it appears she has been using his son as an outlet to talk about him in our daily lives without arousing too much suspicion. In some strange way, I even feel a hint of relief. If I'm right, at least she wasn't involved with a minor. This still feels like a betrayal, but one that's more bearable than the alternative. Looking through the messages, I can now see that she is obsessed with this man, and it looks like they are in love. I am distraught that this has been going on now for so long, and that the person who I have trusted and confided in for so long has been lying to me this entire time. I cannot really put the way I am feeling into words. I can't be certain that nothing inappropriate happened between her and the kid, but this explanation now feels more plausible to me. Still, I feel like I'm mourning the person I thought I knew and loved. The woman I've been with for 6 years, whom I trusted completely, has been hiding this from me, and it's crushing. First off, I just want to thank you all for your support and patience through this difficult time. Unfortunately, my most recent update was removed, so I reposted it, but that was then locked, so I haven't been able to reply to any comments or make any edits to the actual post. Now, before the update, I also need to admit something that I lied about in my last update. I said I got records from our shared phone provider, but the truth is I actually went through her phone. I was nervous about admitting this on here and worried about potential consequences. But in retrospect, I feel I had good enough reason to check, and the phone was purchased using our shared bank account, which could give me a valid claim for accessing it. If it counts for anything, I did try to contact our shared service provider, but they told me they don't give out any specific personal information, this includes messages, to anyone but the police for security and confidentiality reasons. When looking through her messages with Hot Soccer Dad, the same name kept coming up, and it became clear that this was the kid. The messages made it quite obvious who it was, as they were often using the kid as an excuse to stay in contact. The conversations were overly flirty, and it was quite obvious that something was going on between the two of them. On top of this, it looks like they have met up several times for coffee after practice. I don't know where the kid goes in that time, as there is still no mention of his mother, and I still don't know much about the kid's family situation. With all that said, I'm relieved to say that things are finally moving forward. I decided to meet with a divorce attorney who has been fantastic, and am in the process of finalizing everything. I'm now set up in a temporary apartment with a separate bank account. It was surprisingly easy to open, and I regret not doing it earlier. The freedom it's given me has been a massive weight off my shoulders. I'm not naive anymore, and I have no intention of dragging this out, but know things may still get complicated. Though, after a lot of stress and uncertainty, I'm finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a relief to think she'll soon be out of my life. The last real piece of bad news in this update. Her family, especially her sister, is fully aware of the situation but has chosen to side with her. I've never been the biggest fan of her sister, to be completely honest, but never to this extent. I've been receiving aggressive messages from her sister, calling me selfish and threatening to ensure my wife gets everything. They've even implied that they use their family's financial resources to back her legally, as they're well off and have offered to cover her costs. To add to this, there are some legal loopholes regarding outshared assets, including the house, which could mean I have a lot more to lose in this than I expected. This has been a humbling and in some ways eye-opening experience. I always assumed infidelity, or these kinds of situations, would be easy to spot. I never expected to be blindsided by my own partner, someone I loved and trusted completely. I realize now that betrayal doesn't fit into near categories or follow obvious patterns. Although this situation didn't turn out to be the predatory relationship I feared, it's shown me that anyone, male or female, can be vulnerable to this kind of manipulation. With the court date likely coming up in the next couple months and the divorce process underway, it feels like I'm nearing the end of this exhausting chapter. I'm incredibly grateful for all the support and insight I've received here. It's been a strange few weeks, but I'm determined to close this chapter and start fresh.